Okay guys, afternoon and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing a review of my Husqvarna 701 that I've owned for 3 years now, and I've put 20,000 miles on it, most of it off-road, so I thought it was about time I did a little review. I'm also going to talk about the problems I've had with the bike and discuss the mods I've made to the bike that have made it a lot more usable off-road. So if you're interested and you want to find out exactly what I think of the 701, stay tuned. Right, first off, why did I choose the 701? Well, I started riding off-road, mainly on the Trans-Euro trail about 3 years ago, and when I started, I knew from the beginning that I was going to want to do a lot of my riding on my own. So I needed to have a bike that was capable, but also very light, so I could pick it up every time I dropped it, because I knew I was going to drop it, and to be honest, I'm still dropping it today, 3 years later. Right idea, poorly executed. Now there was a choice of three, and I'm going to briefly go over those now. First one was the T7, very capable bike, equally as capable as the 701 in the right hands, but the only thing that put me off the T7 was its weight. It's got about an extra 50 kilos or so weight than the 701, so with luggage as well, that'd be a real drama. 701's gone over, like I said, many times, even in places where you'd look at it and go, Christ, you're not getting out of that. But with a little bit of thought and a little bit of effort and brute strength, I've been able to rescue myself so far, touch wood, from any situation I've got myself in with this bike. I don't think I'd have been able to have done the same with the T7. So for that reason, and for that reason alone, I discounted the T7. The next bike was the ever reliable and evergreen Honda 300L. I did look very closely at that bike, and there's nothing wrong with them. People drive them, ride them around the world all the time without any problems whatsoever. They're great bikes. But it was an offhand remark that a friend made to me that made me change my mind. And he said, why do you want a bike that you're going to get bored of in 18 months? Why do you want a bike that you're going to look after it, you're going to mod it, you're going to tailor it to your needs, and by the time you start getting comfortable on it, you're going to go, no, I want something else. And his advice was to get a bike that you could grow into, and he advised me to get this, the Husqvarna 701, or equally the 690. Now I was a little bit wary at first because they're quite high powered machines. This is a 72 horsepower bike, and I sort of pushed back slightly. And he said no, he said the power delivery on the 701 is really, really dependable. He said just get it, you'll be fine with it. You won't regret it. And I did. So that's the reasons why I chose and ended up with the Husqvarna 701. So would I recommend this as a first time bike for a first time off-roader? Yeah, I would, unequivocally, particularly if you're older and more mature. Younger guys, I'd probably say if you're not experienced, stay away from this bike. If I'd have got it when I was 19 or 20, I'd have probably killed myself on it. But if you're older and more level-headed, right, then this is a really good option for a first off-road bike. So then, 3 years and 20,000 miles. What's gone wrong with the bike? Well, only two things have gone wrong. Number one was the side stand switch, which is a well-known and well documented problem with this bike. They do come loose and they can be a real pain in the arse, because every time that side stand moves, if you're going over rough terrain, bang, it'll cut the engine out straight away, which it isn't good, particularly if you're a new rider trying to master loose rocky inclines. It's a real pain in the arse, but it's a simple fix with the dongle. I fixed it on the trail. I bought the dongle, carried it. I didn't fix it. I carried it in my toolkit, and when I needed to, then I put it on, and I've just left it on ever since and got used to being without the side stand sensor, and it cured the problem immediately. Never had any dramas again after that. Second problem I had about the 16,000 mile mark was the fuel pump. The fuel pump went, and that cost about £500 I think to fix, about 250 for the pump, and about another 250 to get it fitted. I did look at a few YouTube videos, and it just looked a little bit too complicated for me, so I paid the extra and went and got it fixed at the garage. But aside from those two issues, I've never had a drama with this bike, and in the 3 years I've had it and the 20,000 miles I've put on it, it has been thoroughly dependable from start to finish. It's got great fuel range too. I'll get about, on average, 170 miles out of each tank, and for Europe you ain't going to want more than that. You're never going to be more than 170 miles away from your next fuel tank. The light goes on with about 3 litres left in the tank, so I know I've got around 39 miles to play with when the light goes on. And I've got to say, I've never had fuel anxiety with this bike. It's been absolutely fine. Maybe if I was going really out of the way, I'd carry a rotor packs or something similar with me, but other than that, fuel wise, not a problem. Oil, I will say my bike burns on average about 100 mil of oil per 1,000 miles. So it is worth, if you're going on a long multi-day trip, to carry. I usually carry a little bottle with 500 mil of 10W50 in it, and I just top it up about halfway through the ride. It will burn oil faster if you're, off-road a lot. It will burn oil quicker than it will do then you're off the road. But around about on average 100 mil per 1,000 miles is what I work on. So performance wise, the bike's been absolutely fine for me. It's done everything I've asked of it. I've only had those two problems over the 3 years and 20,000 miles I've had with it. It's been completely dependable. I've dropped it, I'd say about 25 times over that period. All right, so it's had a couple of decent crashes as well, and it's got up and dusted itself down, and it's been absolutely fine ever since. I won't go as far as say unbreakable, but pretty much out of the box, this bike will do what you want it to do. But saying that, if you are going to go and do long distance touring, there are some mods you can do that are going to make your life a hell of a lot easier, and that's what we're going to look at in the next section of this video, which are the mods I've made to this bike to make my life more comfortable. Right, just for ease of explanation, I've broken down these mods into 3 sections. That's comfort, performance and protection, and the first one we're going to look at is comfort. So yeah, like I said, out of the box, it's ready to go and it's ready to hit the trails. But if you're going to do long distance travelling and long distance touring, there are a few mods that you can make to this bike to make your life a lot easier. First one I'm going to mention is the seat. Stock seat from the 701. It's like sitting on a proper enduro bike seat. It is hard, and if you're older like my age, if you're over the age of 40, I'd say you're going to want a little bit more comfort, and I decided to go for the Seat Concepts seat, and it changed the bike. It suddenly meant I could spend 10 hours a day in the saddle without any problems. So an excellent upgrade. Is expensive, £250 you'll pay for the seat approximately, and on top of that there's like a 6 weeks lead time from the Seat Concepts company, because they're in the States. But yeah, it's well worth it. You're going to want to do it. Next one is the Adventure Spec mini fairing that I've got mounted up here on the handlebars. It's an excellent piece of kit and an excellent alternative and cheap alternative to a full-on rally tower. I forget what it costs, again around about the £250 mark I think here in the UK, but you can stick your sat nav on it. It's got ports at the bottom for where you can put chargers, etc., and also it helps keep the wind off you when you're riding on the highway. Right, the next couple of things I did, first one was to put bar risers on. I'm 6'2", I put 1.5 inch risers on, and they made the bike much more rideable, took a little bit of pressure off the lower back, helped me to keep, you know, especially in the standing position, I could keep my back much straighter than it was before. So something to consider if you're a bigger rider. And the next one was the Raid Garage foot pegs. These are wider and they're also slightly longer as well. I'm a size 11 UK boot, and I felt the difference almost immediately going from the stock pegs onto the Raid Garage pegs. So if you've got bigger feet, that's a good mod to look into as well. Right, another very popular mod is the fuel cap mod. The fuel cap can be a bit problematic. I have heard horror stories of the keys getting stuck inside the cap, and that's a bit of a game over scenario if it happens when you're out on the trail. So all I've done was just take the old one off and then just put this one in. Not only do you have the security of knowing that your key's never going to get stuck in it, it also makes refueling quicker as well. Right, so the last comfort mod was heated grips. Speaks for itself. I mean, if you live in a place that experiences cold winters and you want to keep riding, then heated grips are a good idea. It'll extend your time of riding from maybe 1 to 2 or 3 hours if you're lucky. Right, the next area we'll go into is performance, and the first mod I'll talk about is a very popular mod that a lot of people do to their bikes, and that's the Raid Garage airbox. All right, so if you're looking down at the bike here, that is where the Raid Garage filter sits underneath there. There is where the old filter used to be, and in this configuration you get the fuel filter and you get a storage box, although you can get a spare 5 litre tank, I think, that sits in there to give you extra fuel range. But like if you ride it in Europe, then you're never going to need it. But it's an excellent mod. I mean, these sponge type filters, the Enduro type filters, they're much easier to clean, to maintain. They're more efficient than paper filters as well. So and you get all that storage space as well. So it's a phenomenal upgrade to do to the bike, and I was extremely pleased with it. Right, the next mod I did to enhance its performance was changing the stock 45 tooth rear sprocket for a 48 tooth rear sprocket. I had the 45 on when we went to northern Spain, and I suffered there having that long gearing in first and second gear. So when we came back, I changed to the 48 tooth, and again, it's a cracking, just a little thing you can do that really improves your bike in first, second and third gear, which it makes them much more usable. So yeah, if you are doing a lot of off-road, particularly gnarlier type of off-road, then that is once again another really good mod you can make to the bike, and you'll see the difference straight away. Right, what I consider to be one of the best performance mods I've made on the bike is the addition of the tubeless tyre system. Now, without going into too much detail, the tubeless system basically converts your regular tube tyre into a tubeless tyre by creating a high pressure and a low pressure zone within the same tyre. Now, the high pressure tube sits about there, and what the tube does is it basically seals the tube to the rim, creating an airtight seal. What that does is then open up a low pressure area in there, this part of the wheel, above the high pressure tube. Now there's the high pressure valve, there's the low pressure valve, and that allows you to go down to 0 pressure in the low pressure side if you need it. And it has saved my life in deep mud many times. And the last of the performance mods really is the exhaust. The stock exhaust, as anyone who owns a 701 will tell you when you get it, it's hotter than the centre of the sun. so you know it'll melt bags. You can see down here on my plastic where it had started to melt the plastic before it had been changed to this GPR exhaust. I mean, it's just a slip on. I mean, GPR and Arrow are kind of like the favourite ones here in the UK. I know that in the States the Wings exhaust is probably the go-to exhaust for 701s, but I haven't had a problem with the GPR exhaust. It's been absolutely fine, no dramas whatsoever. Right, the last area we're going to go into now is protection, and there are 3 mods I made to the bike to make it slightly more robust. First one was the AXP bash plate. Now the main reason people change the bash plate is because the OE one only extends to about that far. All right, most of, if not all of the aftermarket ones extend this far to cover your suspension linkage at the rear. I've used, this is the AXP one, it's been on for 2 years now, 2.5 years. I haven't had any problems with it. I know some people did have problems with it cracking with the welds going along there, but I haven't seen any evidence of that. That's not crack, no. Yeah, but I haven't seen any evidence of that myself. And again, it's taken some bashing. Next one, wraparound handguards. The OE ones, they're the flappy ones that sort of extend out to about here, and there's no protection around there whatsoever. So if you do go down and you catch the end of your lever there, chances are it's going to snap. With any luck, it will snap there where it's supposed to. If you're unlucky, it's going to snap further down there, which will cause you a drama. I carry spare levers just in case, but you know, with decent wraparound handguards, the problem of snap levers is virtually eliminated. I won't say completely, but virtually eliminated. Right, and the very last protection mod I've done on the bike is the crash bars. These ones are Outback Motortech, but there are others that work equally as well. You are going to drop the bike a lot, and the radiator is vulnerable. It's only protected really by these plastics, and you imagine you go down on a hard rock and it impacts straight into there. The chances of it moving your radiator and creating an extra problem with you to deal with is quite high. And like I said, I mean, you know, I've dropped this bike countless times. And you will too, especially if you're a new rider. It's going to go over, guaranteed. And a little bit of protection, again, I think around the £200 mark, I think I paid for these. Really good investment, and just gives you that little bit of extra confidence when you're on the bike, knowing that the protection is there and it does exist. Right, well that's it. We'll bring it to a close now. I'll just summarise by saying I think this is an absolutely fantastic bike. I think it's probably hands down the best long distance off-road oriented travel bike you can have, especially if you're on your own. I've had no problems with it. It's got me out of trouble, you know, countless times. The only thing that's ever really gone wrong with it, discount the side stands dongle, in 20,000 miles, was the fuel pump. And this bike has been battered, and every time it just shrugs it off and comes out smiling. And having that extra confidence in your bike it'll give you confidence as well. It'll give you the confidence to maybe try something that you wouldn't normally try, maybe go a little bit further than you'd normally go. So confidence, really, I suppose in life it's key, but especially when it comes to cutting around off-road in the middle of nowhere on a motorcycle on your own, then yeah, confidence, it's key. And this is a confidence inspiring bike. All right, so that's the 701 Enduro. That's what I think about it. All right, I haven't had any problems with this bike. It's been absolutely perfect for my needs, and it hasn't let me down once. That's just my opinion. If anyone else has got a different opinion, or indeed a different mod that they would recommend, then feel free to mention it down in the comments. Equally, if you think I'm talking shit about something, mention it down in the comments as well. But I think this is a pretty much perfect all-round off-road touring motorcycle. I don't think there's better out there now. The only two other bikes that are roughly in the same ballpark is the AJP PR7, and I didn't go for one of those purely because they're not that common in the UK and I couldn't find one. And the other one now is the Cove 450, or maybe even the Cove 800X. All right, that only weighs a little bit more than the 701 690, so maybe, and that's a twin as well, so could be a good idea. But yeah, the Cove wasn't around when I bought this, so it wasn't an option. But yeah, those two bikes I'd say are worth looking at if you're doing solo off-road touring. Other than that, 690, 701, it's the only game in town.